guys, I'm Kate. Welcome back to my channel. Today I have a little bit of coffee left. I'm wearing a sweater. I'm all snuggly because I want to settle in and chat for a bit about output and productivity and kind of this pressure surrounding writers, also with a specific touch on NaNoWriMo since that's coming up too. There are a couple of reasons that I want to talk about this. One, because I just saw an amazing video by Shaylin Writes in which this is one of the many things that she discusses regarding some of her issues within the writing community and more specifically authortube. So go check that out. I'll link it down below. And two, because I think that I sometimes help perpetuate this pressure of productivity with some of my videos. Like I made a video about tracking my word counts for a month, and I'm also going to be releasing a video soon about advice and tips on how to write in multiple projects at once. And three, because NaNoWriMo is coming up and it has a very clear number goal of 50,000 words. I like to think I'm pretty transparent about things, but I do make a lot of videos regarding my personal experience and I am a fast writer. But the important distinction here is that fast writer does not necessarily mean good writer. I have said so many times over that the process I've eventually learned works for me, at least for right now, is something that I like to call the zero draft. And I create a zero draft because I have to write in order to find the story. Despite how much planning and plotting I attempt to do, I always have to kind of like write my way through what the story's going to be. Do you know how many of those words I never use again? Plots abandoned, characters forgotten in order for me to find what I need for the first draft. And I personally use the term zero draft with a lot of affection, but some people don't like that because they think it means that like it wasn't worth anything. No, zero drafts are worth a heck of a lot to me. While I never use 90% of those words I write in my zero draft again, I have to have it. But I think it's important for me to distinguish quality-wise between a zero draft and a first draft, just like I distinguish between where I'm at in the stage in that novel between the first draft and the second draft. Few of my in real life writer friends use the zero draft method because from my perspective, and this is going to be the key part of it, from my perspective, they don't need to. Their work is so much cleaner the first time. They kind of go into the story knowing what they're going to do, so that yes, it technically takes them longer to write their novel, but does it really? But what you don't see, of course, is that the caliber of their first draft and the caliber of my zero draft are nowhere near the same. And while it takes me like no time at all to write the zero draft, like I speed through it, I still have to wait a little bit and figure out what I want from that zero draft that's going to become the first draft. Like, And of course, I said from my perspective, this is what it looks like because we can never know how that process, the writing process or the first draft process or anything is going for someone. We cannot see that from the outside. And we definitely can't see how they're feeling about what they're writing. I personally think that that's one of the most beautiful things about authortube, and at least the people that I choose to follow within authortube, because they have very open and honest communication and discussions with their viewers about how the process is going for them and the struggles that literally all of us writers will face at some point or another. Writing's hard, yo. And to personally help with that, I hope you check out any of my numerous videos in which I felt like I failed. And again, another key word here, because of course, I don't think any story that you spend time on is a failure. You're always learning something that you'll carry on to the next story or the next thing you want to write or whatever. Like, words written are never a failure. Never. But of course, the feeling of the failure can still be there. Like, I failed Camp NaNoWriMo and I had to more or less potentially permanently shelve a project that at one point I spent a lot of time and care on, and among many other things that I just struggle with. Now finally, when we're talking about productivity and my personal concern with how I might be perpetuating this pressure, jobs. I try to say this every single time I get a very nice comment about someone being amazed at how many words I could write and then being like a little bit upset that they don't get that same amount of words. You guys, I have the time to do it. I'm not married, I don't have kids, I work freelance from home and writing at that. I no longer have to do any kind of commute if I don't want to. I'm not in school, and with the exception of my personal travel and my own mental health, I don't have any constraints on my schedule. This is a very, very fortunate situation to be in that not a lot of other people have. And even people who do have it, like other published authors who that is their day job and that is like all they have to do, if we're going by numbers, hi, all of that point about the zero draft, like I have to put in that work. There are tons of writers who don't have to put in that work to get to their ultimate conclusion. When I was working my corporate finance job, I think I failed NaNoWriMo every year except one. And even in that failure, that November was when I wrote the most amount of words the entire year. So I think you can imagine how little I was actually writing. And in college before that, I think I won every NaNoWriMo, but November was still the time that I got the most amount of words. All of this is to say we all have our own process. We have our own amount of time that we can personally take. We have our own mental or physical health situation, or family situations, or money situations, or just y'all. Let me wrap in real life writer friends in NaNoWriMo again, because I do like to tell people this despite my own personal obsession with NaNoWriMo, and that's that some people won't win NaNoWriMo ever. It is just not how they write, and that is okay. If you treat NaNoWriMo as like a coming together of other writers and a time to work on your story when tons of other people are working on your story and the building of a community, like, that's how I like to think of NaNoWriMo. And in that case, again, you can never fail. Any words contributed to your story are words that you've won. You've won. There's no failure in meeting new people and learning about your story in writing. But because there's a set number to it and the pressure coming from other people winning definitively, this will be harder on some writers, like one of my closest friends, than others, like me, who naturally tend to write that way anyways. I have a lot of differences with this friend in terms of our own writing process. Like, he will immediately send first draft work when that sends like a whole host of terrors very deep into my being. And he spends a lot of time on that first draft. And again, because I do the zero draft process, y'all, it flies by. Not good, but it flies by. And he struggles with plot while I struggle with description. And if I could create a perfect writer foil to myself, that would be this friend. He will likely never write 50,000 words in 1 month, and that is okay. It is so okay. I wish I could like scream it from rooftops. Do you know how often I wish my writing was cleaner the first time around, or that I didn't have to spend so many times editing or so many drafts over to get to where I want to be? It's okay to write slow. It's okay to not write well the first time. It's okay to be an amazing reviser and an awful first drafter. And it's okay to lose NaNoWriMo, get 10,000 words that you absolutely love, and just enjoy the experience of being surrounded by other writers. Honestly, this is another discussion for another day, but it's also okay to be capable of writing 50,000 words in a month and not hitting that because of other things that come up in your life. And if you want to hear a very honest feeling about that when that happened to me, I will link down below and up above in the cards when I failed Camp NaNoWriMo in April. It's okay to think you can do something and for whatever reason that to not actually happen. This turned into potentially more of a rant than a discussion. But I do want to end on one final note, and that's that I'm not going to stop making videos about numbers and stats because I personally love those, but I hope this gives a little bit more clarity to my personal situation and how I'm capable of getting those numbers, and also why your process may not lean toward being representative of numbers, or why NaNoWriMo won't necessarily work for you in the ways that it works for other people. But that's not to say that it can't work for you, period. I won't ever say that. I think NaNoWriMo can work for everyone, because y'all know I love NaNoWriMo, but it's just the mindset that you go into it with. I never want anyone to feel bad or compare themselves to me or my situation, because I know the pain of that and the disappointment that caused me when I failed NaNoWriMo for the first time ever when I was working that corporate job, and I would hate for anyone to feel that way. Alright, thank you guys so much for watching this rant discussion video hybrid. Please comment down below and let me know if you have any writer friends that are a perfect foil to yourself, or what would that perfect foil be? And how much do you wish you could change your own writing style or your writing process to be like that foil? Let me know. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see y'all with another video very soon. Bye. Gosh, what do I want you to let me know? Like, sometimes, oh, so much hair. Ugh.